What is up, everybody? It is JT Sports. I am back to you guys with another NFL video. In this video, I am going to be giving you guys my 7th-round mock draft for the San Francisco 49ers. Before I get into it, make sure that you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel because I upload NFL videos and the most in-depth NFL content on YouTube. So this is my first 7th-round mock draft for the San Francisco 49ers because if you guys have been living under a rock over the last couple of weeks, the San Francisco 49ers traded up to the 3rd overall selection. So they are now in the running to draft one of the best 3 quarterbacks in this year's draft class. They could maybe get Zach Wilson if New York decides to pass on him, but mainly it's basically Justin Fields, Trey Lance, or Mac Jones. So to start off this mock draft, I have the 49ers taking quarterback Justin Fields out of Ohio State. Now, the reason why I think the 49ers should draft Justin Fields over Mac Jones or Trey Lance is simply for the fact that I just think that Justin Fields just has more potential than both Trey Lance and Mac Jones. Now, Mac Jones, I think Mac Jones would be a pretty good fit for the 49ers. As a matter of fact, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, or Justin Fields could all be a good fit for the 49ers because of how good of an organization the 49ers are right now. And plus, you have one of the best play callers in Kyle Shanahan in all of football. So I don't really think that either one of them quarterbacks would be a bad pick for the 49ers because, believe it or not, I just don't see any quarterback, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, or Trey Lance, going and being a bust with Kyle Shanahan with how great of a play caller he is and how great of a franchise the 49ers are right now. So I really am having a hard time seeing Mac Jones, Fields, or Lance not have success in San Francisco. But I do think out of the 3 quarterbacks that the 49ers could have a chance of drafting, I think Justin Fields would be the best fit. Now, a lot of people have concerns about Justin Fields' ability to read defenses and being able to go through his progressions on the next level. Let me tell you guys something, okay? You can teach the mental aspect of football. You can teach a quarterback how to read defenses, how to read coverages, how to go through his progressions. Okay, that's not really a big issue to me. My big question is, what is his upside? Because if you're the 49ers, you don't trade several first-round selections just to get a guy like a Mac Jones over a guy who has way more potential in Justin Fields. So this is no knock on Mac Jones, it's just the fact that Justin Fields has more potential than Mac Jones because of what he can do with his legs as well with his arm strength because he has a better arm than Mac Jones. So there's nothing wrong with Mac Jones. It's just the fact that you don't trade up several first-round picks to select Mac Jones. If you're going to give up that much in exchange for a top 3 pick, you're trying to get one of the best quarterbacks in this draft class who has the most potential because you're not drafting the quarterback to start day one. The 49ers are most likely going to have Jimmy Garoppolo as their starter. So if you're drafting a quarterback in the top 3 and he doesn't have to start right away, you probably will have to draft the guy who has the most potential, who doesn't have to start right away, who you can let sit for a year or two, then you can hand him over the keys to the car. So I think Justin Fields will be the best quarterback that the 49ers should have a chance being able to draft, and I think Justin Fields will be a perfect fit for the 49ers. In the 2nd round, 43rd overall, I have them selecting cornerback Greg Newsome out of Northwestern. Now, I like Greg Newsome a lot. I think he's a little bit underrated. I can most definitely see him getting drafted in the 1st round. He's 6 feet, 192 pounds. He has great footwork, and he also has a great recovery speed as well. And according to Pro Football Focus, he allows 7.8 yards per reception and 31.6 completion percentage when quarterbacks were targeting his direction. He's also a really great press cornerback as well. He's also really good in zone. And I think when you look at the San Francisco 49ers, a team that doesn't really have that much depth at cornerback right now, I think Greg Newsome will be a really good fit in that 49ers defense. Moving on to the 3rd round selection, 103rd overall, I think DYAMI Brown out of University of North Carolina would be a good pickup in this part of the draft for the 49ers because they don't really have that much talent at wide receiver, in my opinion. I think they need to add some more talent in that wide receiver room, and I think DYAMI Brown's the guy who can do that. Okay, you got Brandon Ayuk has proved that he can be your #1 wide receiver, but now I think they need to start searching for a #2 wide receiver. Now, DYAMI Brown is 6'1", 189 pounds. Now, he's like a Tyreek Hill level deep threat, but the thing I like about DYAMI Brown is that he's just not a deep threat. He can do more than just be a bona fide deep threat. He can do a lot of things in the passing game within short to intermediate range, but the downside is the fact that although he does have crazy acceleration, he's really fast, he isn't really that consistent when it comes to catching the football. He does have a pretty good amount of drops. He also has a limited route tree as well, but in that 49ers system, you know, you get him a little bit of development there, advance the route tree just a little bit more. I think he could be a really good fit in that 49ers offense, and I think he could be a good wide receiver too in Kyle Shanahan's offensive system. Round 4, 118th overall, I have them taking defensive tackle Tyler Shelvin out of LSU. Tyler Shelvin is a massive human being. This guy is 6'2", 350 pounds. He is incredibly strong. This is somebody I like to call as a space eater. He doesn't really have that much, you know, potential when it comes to being an elite pass rusher, but that doesn't really matter when you have this guy who's this big. He is a space eater, a gap clogger, of, you know, a refrigerator on the field, wherever you want to call this dude. This dude is a large human being, and this guy is going to clog up run lanes. He's going to be good in running situations. He's going to be good in 3rd and short, 4th and inches, red zone scenarios, and things like that. So although he's not that big of a threat when it comes to being able to get after the quarterback, I still think he could be a good rotational piece when it comes to certain situations, when it comes to, you know, short situations on defense, when you know a team is trying to pick up a yard or two. I think that's where Tyler Shelvin would make his living, and you make a lot of money in this day and age just being a good run stopper in the NFL. A lot of people think you just have to be able to get after the quarterback. That's not necessarily the case. If you're good against the run, you can make a good living. You can have a really good career. You know, now you won't get all the attention, all the accolades as guys like Aaron Donald are able to get because of how they're good at rushing and passing. But at the end of the day, you can still be a really good defensive tackle by being able to stop the run. I think he could have a similar career to Linval Joseph. Linval Joseph, you know, has been pretty good throughout his career, but he doesn't really get a lot of attention he deserves, because I think he's one of the best interior defensive linemen when it comes to being able to stop the run, and that's where I think Tyler Shelvin could kind of have a similar comparison to is Linval Joseph. In round 5, 156 over, I have them selecting Jordan Smith, edge rusher out of UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham. Now, Jordan Smith is long and lanky, okay? He's kind of like a bigger version of a power forward playing football. Now, with him being lanky, you know, he gets pushed around a lot in the run game. He can get overpowered by offensive guards at time in tackles, but he is 6'6", 255 pounds. He has a really quick first step, good length, good athleticism, and he has flashed a lot of potential. He does have a good amount of pass rush moves in his arsenal. Now, they do need to be honed a little bit, but I think Jordan Smith, with the production that he had at UAB last year, 9.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, I think this would be a good mid-round selection. I think he's a guy who may be able to start his career out as a rotational pass rusher and then eventually become a full 3-down pass rusher for the 49ers. And although they do have a pretty good amount of pass rushers, you know, they got Bosa and all of that, but I think Jordan Smith will add some much-needed depth because we saw how much injuries destroyed the 49ers last year. So Jordan Smith would be a good player to add for depth reasons to that 49ers pass rush. With their second, 5th round selection, having selected the offensive guard Royce Newman out of Ole Miss. Now, Royce Newman is 6'5", 310 pounds. He has experience at offensive guard and offensive tackle, so you get that versatility there, which is something that you always want. You always want an offensive lineman that can play several positions in case of injuries. So he has good agility, but he struggles against power rushers. He can get overwhelmed at times against bigger, stronger athletes. But I think Royce Newman has the potential to be a really good backup guard in this league. Could he potentially be a starter? I don't know, but I think at this point in the draft, you're just looking for depth. You're looking for guys who can be good backups, good role players, and that's what Royce Newman could be coming out of Ole Miss. With their third, fifth round selection, 181st, I have them selecting CAMRYN BYNUM, cornerback out of Cal University. Now, I like CAMRYN BYNUM a lot. I think he's a little bit under the radar. He's 6 foot, 196 pounds, has high football IQ. He may be one of the smartest cornerbacks in this draft class. He's also really solid in his own coverage, but the downside is the fact that if he gets burnt and the receiver is flying past him, it's pretty much a done deal for him because he doesn't really have a lot of great recovery speed because he has average to barely above average speed and athleticism, which kills him a lot, which is why he pretty much is projected to go around round 5, round 4 of the draft. But I do like CAMRYN BYNUM a lot. I do think he will be pretty good on special teams, and I do think that there is a role that he could play in that 49ers defense despite his limited athleticism and his speed. Round 695th overall, Cade Johnson out of South Dakota State. This is one of my favorite small school prospects in this draft class. He's 5'11", 185 pounds. He's quick, fast, explosive, and quick with his feet. I like this guy a lot. Even though I couldn't really find a lot of highlights and a lot of tape on him, I like the little bit of glimpses that I was able to see in Cade Johnson. And with Cade Johnson, like I said, the 49ers, I feel like they could use some more talent at the wide receiver position. I think you most definitely get that with Cade Johnson. Get a guy who could beat you over the top. Get a guy who you can hand it. You could kind of give him like a 3-yard drag, a 5-yard slant. He could be a threat to take it to the house. The downside of that is, you know, sometimes he can get pushed around by bigger, stronger corners, and his route running could use a lot of work as well. But I think Cade Johnson could be a really good fit in that 49ers offense. He could be a wide receiver 3, maybe their slot receiver. And lastly, with their 7th round selection, their last pick of the draft, 231st overall, I have them selecting tight end KYLEN GRANSON out of SMU. KYLEN GRANSON is a guy I think is a little bit under the radar. He's really good in the pass game. He's kind of like similar to a wide receiver, but a little bit slower. He has pretty good route running, but the downside is that he's not really good when it comes to run blocking. And really, he probably could be converted to a wide receiver, but he isn't all that fast despite his size. So for KYLEN GRANSON, I think he could come in, try to earn a spot on the roster. I think he could at least be good and make the practice squad, and then you go from there. But you know, in round 7, you're just looking for guys who you can just bring in as camp bodies, and then you're just looking to see maybe you hit on somebody, maybe you find you a little diamond stud in the rough. So this is it for my San Francisco 49ers 2021 7th-round mock draft. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section down below. Make sure that you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel for more 7th-round mock drafts. I'm doing these for all 32 NFL teams. Make sure that you guys like the video, turn on post notifications